Hello everyone, and welcome to another random autistic loser making a theory video about Deltarune. There's lots of these now. Personally wanted to get this out because I see a lot of confusion about this theory, and it's the one that I buy into most regarding the angel. You read the title, so you know what it's about. But before I can jump into things, I have to actually go over what the name means because there's a lot of confusion about it. Let's get this out of the way. There's two separate beings called the angel, at least currently. We have the hometown's religion and the prophecy. They may or may not be the same. I personally believe that the angel in the hometown religion, which I'm just going to call angelism, is separate from the angel of prophecy. They're only linked metaphorically, or the angelism one, some sort of red herring, whatever. I could not possibly tell you. We don't have enough information right now. In other words, no, the lesbian deer is not God. That's not what this theory is. And whether or not you buy into the theory, I will come to another broader conclusion that will probably be much more palatable to everyone. With that out of the way, onto the first point. Probably isn't a particularly hot take, but to get out of the way first, Noelle's one of the four main cast members. First, she has some of the most characterization of anyone in the game yet, with characters like Rudy, who exists pretty much just to characterize her further. Also things like the Dawnmaker narrator, totally not just gas for equating her in importance to Chris and Susie. Ralph is absent from that list, though I don't know why that is. And some of Toby's early concept art includes the Fun Gang and also Noelle. And then we have stuff like the sweepstakes and certain things we got from the newsletters that put heavy emphasis on Noelle, which I find interesting. So yeah, I don't think it's crazy to say that she's one of the three main light in her cast. Anyway, next. Actual evidence time. Noelle has what could generously be described as a pretty sad life. She's under a lot of pressure as per Rudy, probably because her mom's the mayor. A lot of expectations. Aside from that, though, she's got a missing sister, a mother who's at best neglectful and at worst abusive, and a father who's in the hospital and probably has a not great or terminal prognosis. I direct you to this dialogue right here, where he seems to say that you shouldn't wait for me to keep playing Dragon Blazers before then going back to being all jokey. I don't have the jokey part here, but that's what happens in Chapter 1. Probably just doesn't want to burden his busy wife and daughter with this. But yeah. All that not great implications for Noelle's mental state. She's probably not doing too great. More on that later, though. Anyway, it's not particularly a hot take to say this, but it's like a universally accepted theory. But Deltarune is likely dealing with the ideas of escapism, growing up, and to a lesser extent nostalgia. Characterization of the main cast so far has supported this, but especially Noelle's. We'll get to why. First, though, other stuff. Noelle's religious symbolism. We all know this, but I have to go over it. Jesus Christ, literally her entire family is just Christmas themed. Her name is Christmas Holiday in French. At least Noelle is Christmas in French, so her name's literally Christmas Holiday. But there's even more in the Dark Worlds. We have the pure white robes, the quasi-crucifixion pose. She's called Angel by an Addison and possibly Stanton, but I'm not sure if he actually is. Also, the Ring of Thorns is very evocative of the Crown of Thorns, you know, the Jesus thing. And in the Ferris wheel scene, she describes herself at growing angel wings and flying away. So that's a lot already. But with stuff outside the game, we have Stanton calling her the angel with the tattered wings in the listing for the engraved wristwatch from the sweepstakes. And we have the newsletter message that was semi hidden, where she just um, describing how Noelle and Des making snow angels. Des gives her super big wings, the biggest wings of all. And then Noelle goes on to say, "I wish it could snow whenever I wanted. Be careful what you wish for, sweetie." Anyway, yep, very interesting how prominent this is, uh, regardless of the veracity of this theory. Like, it's so obvious and just in your face. Yeah, it's gotta mean something. Um, Noelle and Dark Worlds. Now we get to actual theory content. Noelle really likes the Dark Worlds, or at least in the normal round. She talks about it all with this air of nostalgia and glee, like she can finally escape from everything. She talks about how Death said she was going to take her somewhere like this, about how the Dark Worlds are pleasant, regardless of the fact that there's an evil tyrant trying to capture her. And most interestingly of all, she's the one who suggests opening another fountain. Birdley's just the one who actually physically starts to do it because he has a bladed weapon, and he's Birdley. I mean, starting with this dialogue, I don't want to live in a world ruled by her, but if that wasn't the case, I wonder if this world wouldn't be so bad. And where everything can be healed with a little spell, we'll get back to that. Yeah, of course, she wants to open another fountain based on everything we've established about her character. She's had a lot of fun in the dark world, despite everything. Connected with Susie, reconnected with Chris a bit, and seems like she's escaped some of the pressures in the light world. Of course, Noelle, under the amount of pressure that she is under as the mayor's daughter, star student on the track team, all that. Of course, she would want to escape some of that, and given some of her known uh, ways of dealing with stress and trauma, which is basically just running away from it or denying that it's there. Yeah, of course she's going to do that. Of course, Ralph yells at everyone, says, "No, you fucking idiots, don't open another fountain." Um, and also, Susie convinced Noelle that it's a dream. Pretty flimsy excuse, though. And Noelle's probably going to be in chapter 4 again, probably in a dark world. So we'll see how long that excuse holds. Back to the prophecy. Actually, have we even gone over the prophecy? I don't think we. Whatever. On to the prophecy. What do we know about the Angel Seven? Not much, obviously. What we do know, though, is that it's a heaven, whatever that means, made by the Angel of Prophecy, and probably had some role in causing the roaring, based on banishing it being required to save the world. Also, it may or may not be a dark world, based on the fact that it's mentioned in the same, banishing the Angel's Heaven is mentioned in the same statements as sealing fountains, and the visual looks kind of like a dark fountain. Very interesting. But onto the roaring overall, though. Thematically, dark worlds represent escapism, so naturally it would follow that the roaring is the consequence of overindulgence in escapism. Going so deep you neglect everything else to escape, well, whatever it is you're escaping. Essentially just ignoring your problems. So in this interpretation, the angel's heaven would be the final dark world needed to cause the roaring, tipping the scales over irrevocably, created by the angel of prophecy as some sort of escape. I wonder if we know anyone who might be prone to doing this with an established interest in dark worlds, high significance to the plot and overall story, and a motive to escape from something. Yeah, obviously, Noelle. I've already gone over Noelle's extremely obvious religious symbolism and her desire to open dark worlds and just overall run away from her problems. She gives this impression of someone putting on a smile, pretending it's all okay while being stretched to a breaking point. Heck, Rudy's not even surprised that she's working so hard she's passed out in the library. She's a girl burdened with incredible expectations and responsibilities with barely anyone there for her in her life. Sure, the dark world helps a bit, but clearly not enough. And currently, post chapter 2, Noelle thinks it was all a dream. But like we said earlier, that flimsy excuse can't hold forever, especially with her likely being there in the chapter 4 dark world, and possibly more after that. Who knows? When she finds out again that they're real, and something inevitably happens with Rudy's illness, and she feels like she can't take it anymore, I wouldn't be surprised if she jumps into the same coping mechanisms she's demonstrated already, trying to run away from her problems, escape from them, if you will, into a world born from her desires, molded by her need for an escape, a refuge, a place she can pretend everything's still okay, that she's okay. In fact, a better word for this place would be a heaven. Yes, very dramatic. Hopefully, you can see now why I consider this to be a likely and compelling path for the game to take. At its core, this is the theory that Noelle will be one of the primary vessels through which the game explores its themes, and I've just expanded that to things like the prophecy because right now, at least, there's nothing to explicitly contradict it, and arguably, there's a lot to support it. You can, of course, remove the angel part of this theory, and it's still probably going to be entirely true. Like she's going to open a dark fountain sometime, um, whether or not she's the angel. Before we conclude, though, there's a few minor issues, and no, player angel believers, the door to the grand fountain having wings on it does not count, and the trailer is non-canon, and probably just a cool visual with an angelic figure for the trailer. The actual main issue is what's the deal with angelism? Why is there another angel? Why is there the religion and then the prophecy? You would assume it's going to be elaborated on further. There's going to be something there. It's going to be linked somehow, but probably get more in chapter 4. And yeah, there's enough here, like thematically and like just in the game, evidence-wise, that I would be really surprised if the game went in another direction. Anyway, yeah, that's it. Thank you all for watching. I'm glad you all took the time to watch this awkward and not very good slideshow, and hope I at least changed some minds with it, or at least got you to think about some other possibilities. Will I make another theory? Hard, maybe. We'll see how I feel when the new chapters drop. But yeah, that's all. Bye-bye.